Martin Scorsese, the fucking film just comes out of his pores, he farts film, you know? And he's so naturally adept at it that he tells fucking powerful stories that reinvent the medium and shit like that. I don't have any of those gifts. My only special ability as a filmmaker has nothing to do with film. I'm the only filmmaker I know that when the movie ends, I rush out, I'm like, wait, let me tell you what happened. I got thrown off a plane, and Bruce Willis and me got in a fight. And I keep going. That's because like a long time ago, Harvey Weinstein, when he picked up Clerks, he had me and Mosier in his office, and he told us one of these fucking billion-dollar pieces of advice as he was sitting there eating his lunch and doing 3 other things. But I was listening, because this is Captain of Industry, this motherfucker created Miramax, right? So he's sitting there talking about movie making and shit, and dropping science on us. We'd only made one movie, so it was very easy to listen. And he says, movie doesn't begin and end when the lights go down and the lights come up. If you're really good at your job, the movie begins long before they get to the theater. And if you're a fucking magician, it'll like last long after the movie is ended. And that always kind of stuck with me. It sounds like one of those things that you say to people and you're like, all right, well, I'll figure out how to do that. And I did figure out how to do it a couple months later. We were at the Houston World Fest, one of the many festivals. Clerks played like 30 film festivals in 1994. Me and Moshe just went place to place to place to place. And we'd invariably stand there after the movie, kind of like this, and he would stand next to me. And I would talk a lot, as I do, and periodically I would hand the mic to him to answer one question. And somebody in the audience would be like, what was the budget of this movie? And I'd be like, Scott, because he was the producer, and I'd hand him the mic and he'd go, $27,575. And he'd hand the mic back to me, you know, and the Q&A would go on and shit. So it was cute, and the people dug it and whatnot. We did the show, the movie at Houston. Movie ends, we get up, do our Q&A fucking routine and shit, answer questions, try to be entertaining. So I always felt like somebody gives you a mic and 200 people staring at you, better say something interesting or fucking amusing. You know, you can't be navel gazing and shit like that. This is something I do on stage. So for me, you know, once we were up there, you know, it's like try to impart some wisdom, try to do it as entertainingly as possible. So we did that for like 45 minutes and shit. It was all over. We're heading out. We're by the door. People are leaving and shaking hands. Like, congrats. Hey, it was fun. 2 dudes. I'll never forget these 2 fucking dudes. Formative fucking dudes. I would really love to interview them, sit down, and be like, who are you? What happened? And what? Tell me everything that led to you saying what you said that day that changed my fucking life. And this is what they said. The one guy goes to the other guy, did you like the movie? And the other guy goes, not at all, it sucked, but I like that fat guy, he was funny. So, you know, I heard that, and I was like, I reached him, you know? I didn't reach him with the movie, I missed him on the movie, but I got him afterwards just by standing there talking about the movie. Not just the movie, but how we made the movie. So suddenly, the movie didn't end when it was supposed to end, and even though I didn't get him with the movie, I was able to get him after the movie, and that taught me something really important, second bite at the apple. You never get, you know, you never get a second chance to make a first impression with the film. It's impossible. Once they see it, it's out of the bag, and how they feel on the day they watch it is going to inform their opinion of that movie for quite some time, and quite some time to come, publicly, internally, whatever. So if I can't get them with the movie, I'll try to get them just by standing there afterwards and talking about the movie. I'll try to get them just by being cute, charming, funny, whatever the fuck, anything. Because I had them for a few minutes, and to let them slip through my fingers is a fucking sin. It's a waste. So if I don't get them there, I'll come out and try to get them with this. If I don't get them with that, then I fucking suck at my job, you know? But for me, I took what Harvey said seriously. I start the show long before the movie, before the lights go on. Like, I get you all involved. I have people involved in this movie, bless you, for 4 or 5 years now. You know, I've been talking about it. I believe in throwing my hat over the wall. You know, sometimes you gotta make projects come into fruition. Not everyone just green light shit. Sometimes you have to will it into existence, man. You need a reasonable amount of unreasonability to be a filmmaker, because reasonability dictates you don't do stupid shit like, let's get adults together and make pretend something's happening. It's just dopey, but it takes a reasonable amount of unreasonability, just a reasonable, not too unreasonable where people are like, you fucking idiot, just a reasonable amount of unreasonability to be like, you know what? I know normally people don't do this, but I'm gonna fucking give it a shot. Why not? Other people try it, other people do it, I've seen other people do it. I've read about the people who do it, they don't seem like they're from fucking Mars. So if we're all on the same level playing field, maybe I can give it a fucking shot too. And that's the important thing, man, just giving it a shot. Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And it's fucking simple, but it's true. Like all the beautiful things in life, it's simple and fucking true. Nothing good comes from standing there and being like, nah, I'm not gonna. You know, anything. I can't tell you if something good definitely comes from giving it a shot, but but you get a closer chance, you know what I'm saying? It improves your chances, gives you this much edge over the next guy, and that's the other thing I've been saying a lot lately. The edge that you're going to have over anybody else, because it's a competitive field. Who the fuck doesn't want to make pretend for a living? There are a lot of people trying to get into the very small gate on this thing. The thing that's going to give you the edge, the thing that's going to make you stand out, apart from everybody else, is your story, your perspective. Now, once you get in the door, they start fucking hammering you to tell a perspective, which is like reaching the widest possible audience. I remember doing notes on Mallrats with the studio exec, and they were like, you know, there's a scene where you got Jane, Silent Bob in a dressing room, you got the girl on the other side, they're looking through a hole in the wall, one of them's jerking off. It goes up over the top into the fucking chick's hair. And then for the rest of the movie, she's got all this cum sticking in her hair. Kevin, nobody's ever going to go want to see a movie with a woman with cum in her hair. And I was like, all right, you're right. It made me feel dirty. I was like, ew, I'm a pig, aren't I? Why would I write that? They're like, well, I'm suspect, but don't worry, take it out. And I was told by this exact Kevin, don't you want as many people as possible to see this movie? Is there anything wrong with wanting the widest possible audience to see your work? And I was like, no, I guess there's not. And that's the slippery slope kind of begins and shit. There is something wrong with the widest possible audience. Well, there's nothing wrong with it. Widest possible audience just means that, like, it's the widest possible audience that you can talk to, telling the story you want to tell, not altering it so that you can capture people that weren't going to be interested in your bullshit until you altered a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Tell your fucking story. The more you start telling their story or a story that looks like every other fucking story's been told, you might be ahead of the game for a little while because repetition sells, familiarity can sell and shit like that. But it's never gonna fucking advance you. You're never gonna fucking pop unless you do or say something that nobody else has done or said before. You know, just give them something original and you got it. It's not like, oh man, where can I find this fucking secret recipe? Like, you are you. You are the most individual, distinct person in the room to tell that particular story. This motherfucker can't tell your story, but you can't tell his. That's the cool thing. So he's got that over you, you got that over him, man. That's what makes it all equal. And a lot of people don't try it because they're like, oh, fucking, how do you get into that business? You gotta be born into that shit. That's what I always used to think. I always assumed that, like, oh, fuckers were born into Hollywood and shit like that. And I saw Richard Linklater's Slacker. I was sitting in the audience, a movie theater not dissimilar than this, up in Angelica, at the Angelica Film Center in New York, in Manhattan. Sitting there watching a movie, and it changed me. I was like, Jesus Christ, like, this counts as a movie? I can do a movie, you know? And it wasn't like me putting it down. I viewed that movie with a mixture of awe and arrogance. Awe because I was like, I've never seen a movie like this before. And arrogance because I was like, if this counts as a movie, I think I could make a movie too, you know? It's inspirational. And I tell Richard that still to this day. And you know, I remember the first time I told him that, he nodded. He was looking at me smiling, going like, one day you'll understand what that means. And I was like, really? And I thought that was like, you too will be this guy. But it was different. It was him, when he said, one day you'll understand what this means, I get what he means. Clerks is a movie that makes people want to make a movie. It looks very fucking simple, and it is simple. And so when people look at it, they go, shit, I want to fucking do that. And people come up to me all the time and go like, your movie Clerks is the movie that made me want to be a filmmaker, which is touching, but I know what it really means. It's them saying, your movie looks so fucking bad. And I figured I could do it too. That's how indie film kind of regenerates itself and whatnot. But tell your fucking story, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, I'm sure there are people in the room going, yeah, fucking tell your story, you'll never get a job. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't get one of those jobs. But the more you develop your own thing and do your own thing and just pay attention to your fucking thing and stuff, work on your craft, never mind trying to work on somebody else's or trying to make your craft look like somebody else's, you're gonna become a fast fucking hardcore expert in it. And the more you do something by yourself over here to the side, this is what eventually happens invariably. People are like, what are you doing? And then you're like, oh, nothing, I'm just come over here. And people start coming to you, and when a little crowd gathers, then outsiders are like, what are they doing? You know, and they start coming over too. And you don't really have to recruit. And that's just the power of telling your fucking story, man. It happened to me, and believe me, I have no more discernible talent than or less than anybody in this fucking room. The only difference was that I was like, fuck, I can't not try at this point. So everybody in this room, man, like when you leave here tonight, you leave here, go tomorrow, next month, whatever it takes, kick in, take your shot. Costs nothing to fucking give it a shot. Potential fucking kickback, the yield that you get from it is enormous, especially in a world where all you're doing is expressing yourself. Could you imagine any better way to live than somebody being, here's money just to be you? Like, that's what I've been working at for the last few years now. Like, it's great making your art and expressing yourself through art, But that takes a lot of time. Like, it takes me to fucking reposition my brain, get my head around telling visual story. Like, that's actual work. Not hard work, but it's actual work. It is no work whatsoever to wake up and just be Kevin Smith. So that's what I've been trying to get paid to do. I just wake up, start expressing myself, and after a year or two of doing that, people are like, we like your opinions, and they just start giving you fucking money. It's kind of neat. Or they're like, a TV show? And I was like, I'll give it a shot, why not? So nothing bad comes from fucking expressing yourself, telling your fucking story. And you know, write what you know. I always say that. You know, the flip side of that is like, well, if George Lucas wrote what he knew, we would not have Wookiees, but maybe he knew Wookiees. We don't know. Write what you know, man. Your story, your perspective, so fucking unique. It's gold. It's absolute gold. And the thing is, most people will tell you, no, it's not gold, but that's the secret. It is fucking gold. And if you get in front of the right people and do your own thing off to the side, and people come over and start watching and shit, then other people with money sooner or later will come over and notice as well. But do your own fucking thing. That's the indie spirit, right? The indie spirit isn't like, fuck you. The indie spirit is this simple. Don't worry, I got this, and that's it. Like, basically, it's you and a bunch of people going, don't worry, we got this. You just realize you get to a point where you're like, nobody's ever gonna hand it to me. Why don't we just try it? Why don't we make it out ourselves and give it a shot? Become independent. Kind of stand off to your own and do your own thing. And you know, sooner or later, hopefully, somebody wants to pay you to do your own thing. But if they don't worry. You're so fucking creatively fulfilled just expressing yourself, you'll figure out how to make money in some other way. People are getting smarter. We're all becoming merchants slowly. You know, the internet has turned us all into merchants. We all have something to sell. Normally, we're selling ourselves. Sometimes we're selling shit on eBay. So, you know, you can use that to kind of figure out who you are and things you want to say, throw that message out in the void. We didn't have the internet when I started. So if we had, I doubt I would have made Clerks. It was just the idea of like talking to somebody. And that's what Clerks was, hurling the message out in the void going, anybody agree with this, understand with this? And it was nice to know that there were people that did. But then the internet came along 2 years later and I was like, oh, this is much cheaper and easier.